G'day everybody, how you going? Good? G'day everyone watching online as well. I don't know if you realise this, but I've been friends with your church for a very long time. I used to live in Ferny Grove, went to Ferny Grove High, class of 97. Anybody? And I've known the church for a long time and known some of you for a long time as well. So I kind of feel pretty relaxed to be here with you guys today and to be able to share a bit about what it means for God to be our shepherd and to lead and guide us. I can also confirm that I'm COVID safe, COVID free. I actually had a cold this week and kind of last week really. But because of the protocols, I had to have a COVID test. Wasn't that bad. If you haven't had one yet, recommend it. Do yourself a favor. But I'm all clear. So I'm okay to shake hands today if you can take that risk. I've got a little text message saying that I don't have COVID. I was barely sick, I was like, oh, do I just go to the service station and get some fixed vapor drops, or do I actually go to the pharmacy and get some cold and flu tablets? I was that level of sick, hardly sick at all, really. I have been sicker before, though, and I want to just talk for a moment just about a terrible disease known as man flu. Anyone familiar with this awful, God-forsaken disease? I see that hand, brother. I see that hand, brother. Some of the wives are putting their hands up as well, being like, this guy, man flu, when women get sick, they just kind of carry on, they're still able to function. But when men get sick, and I've been here before, maybe you have too, when you get man flu, you can barely function. It is as close as you can get to death's door and survive. It's just excruciating, it's debilitating. Men that go from being capable and strong and able to carry heavy things and make their own snacks, are all of a sudden debilitated, absolutely debilitated by man flu. I don't know what COVID's like, but surely it can't be as bad as man flu is. So how do you treat it? 2 ways to treat man flu. First of all, you need all of the medication in the house at one go. In doses usually reserved for racehorses, you need enormous amounts of drugs. But even more important than that, this is why the ladies put their hands up before, is sympathy. You need someone to look after you. You need someone to, I've got a 13-year-old daughter now, so now I've got not only my wife who can help, but I've got a 13-year-old daughter too, and I've got an 11-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter too. But really, my wife and my eldest daughter, they're kind of the ones who look after me, when I can't reach the remote control. When I need another blanket, when I need a snack, their job is really to look after me completely, to tell me how brave I'm being and how strong I am, and to meet all my needs. It's true, isn't it? It's true. If you turn off now, you've got the truth from today's message. No, you don't really. But we all want that, really, don't we? It isn't just men that are sick who want someone to look after them. Like all of us, I reckon, deep down, have this desire that we want someone to look after us completely. We want someone who's there for us, who will tend us, who will care for us, who will nurture us, who will protect us and guide us and shepherd us, really, isn't it? That's the kind of description. Someone who will tend to us, care for us, look after us completely. When we're little, we look to our parents. As we get older, we look to a significant other, a spouse. As we reach in our later years, we look to other loved ones, our children or even our grandchildren, to care for us completely. And some of us, we think, look, I can look after myself. I don't need anyone to look after me. I'm self-sufficient. I'll just pull my socks up and get the job done, and I'll care for myself. Well, you still want someone to look after you. You've just given yourself the job, really. All of us are looking for someone to look after us completely. A shepherd. You see, and in the Bible, the shepherd is this beautiful description of who God is. Who God is. There are a few places in the scripture, in the Old Testament particularly, where we see God reveal himself as shepherd. One comes to mind in the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel is called by God to go and rebuke the leaders of Israel because they are failing to look after God's people. They're meant to care for them. They're meant to protect them. They're meant to look after them and tend to them and heal them and nurture them. But they've become self-absorbed, selfish, and damaging. And God rebukes them. And he says to Ezekiel, go and tell them off. And there's this one point in Ezekiel 34, this incredible time we're after rebuking these shepherds for failing to look after God's people. In verse 12, God says, as a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so I will look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they are scattered on the day of clouds and darkness. Later on in verse 15, he says, I myself will tend my sheep. I will have them lie down, in a safe place, green pasture, declares the sovereign Lord. I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak, but the sleek and the strong I will destroy. I will shepherd the flock with justice. God rebukes the failings of the people whose job it is to look after the people, the leaders. He says, you know what? I'm going to do it. I myself will tend to my flock. Then, of course, we have probably the most famous chapter in the Old Testament, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me by still quiet waters. He restores my soul. It's a picture of God as shepherd, the one who looks after us completely. And then in John 10, where I want to dig in today, Jesus comes on the scene and he reveals himself as the good shepherd. He picks up that biblical picture in the Old Testament of God as shepherd, and he says, I am the good shepherd. I am the one who will care for you and tend you and look after you. And if you have your Bible, we're going to be in John 10, the first 10 verses today. I'd love you to open it up there. If you're watching along at home, if you can go on a device and be trusted, you can use an online version of the Bible, otherwise paper only if you're watching at home. John 10, starting at verse 1. Very truly I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the shepherd listens to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, and he changes metaphor here. Very truly, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All those who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that they may have life, and life to the full. Jesus describes in detail what shepherding was like in the ancient Near East. Now, we raise a lot of sheep in Australia, not as many as our brothers and sisters in New Zealand, but still a fair number. But when we think about sheep raising in Australia, it's all like green grass, rolling hills, fenced paddocks. There's heaps of grass, there's heaps of water. It's a safe, secured, controlled environment. It's like the Sizzler salad bar for sheep, right? All you can eat, fat as you can get, just lounge around, don't have to worry about anything. Every time my kids drive down Osborne Road past where Sizzler used to be, they have a little moment where they're like, we miss Sizzler, we wish it would come back. It's biblical. So that's how shepherding works in our world. But in the ancient Near East, the kind of shepherding Jesus is describing here is actually quite different. You see, what would happen is that the shepherd, good picture there on the screen, the shepherd would lead the sheep out into the wild places in search of pasture, in search of water. They would go out into the wilderness, over hills and mountains, into dangerous places where there's wild beasts that can come and steal the sheep. Places where there's sharp drop-offs where the sheep can fall down. There's predators, there's obstacles, there's all sorts of things that are there to kind of hurt the sheep. And the shepherd's job is to stop them going off the edge and kill the wild animals and protect and nurture the sheep in these dangerous places. Then at the end of the day, if the shepherd was far away from home, they would camp out by night. As part of the Christmas stories, the shepherds watched their flocks by night. A few of them got together out in the wilderness and made sure that no predators came to steal their sheep. But if they were closer to home, what they would do is they would lead the sheep back to a pen. And the pen is like a multi-story car park for sheep. Okay, it was usually a walled enclosure, often kind of pushed back into the corner, so you'd have cliffs around it, so the sheep kind of couldn't get out, predators couldn't get in. And then across the front, they would build a kind of waist-high wall out of stones. And in the top, they would stick in branches with thorns on them, very dense kind of branches, so that it was really hard for thieves and robbers to climb over. It's kind of ancient world barbed wire, you know. And it was really hard for animals to get in as well, and for the sheep to get out. So a walled enclosure with one narrow gate, one way in, one way out. At the end of the day, the shepherds would kind of lead their sheep inside the safe pen, and many shepherds would actually park their flocks in these pens at night. Then the shepherds would go home and, I imagine, have shepherd's pie, and I guess that's what they do. They would go home, and a security guard would come and watch over the pen. And just like a security guard at a multi-story car park doing the late shift, it's not a glamorous job. It's not a very exciting job. It's not a very high-paying job. And if some thugs turn up and say, "Give us all your sheep," you just say, "Take them. I don't get paid enough for this. I'm not risking my life for these sheep." But their job was kind of to watch out, but if things got too rough, they would just bail. Then in the morning, assuming everything's gone to plan, the shepherds would come back and they would call out their sheep. Now, so they'd have a little song or a little tune, and they would play what I like to think of as their custom jingle for their sheep. And the sheep would be like, "Hey, that's our guy." And they would follow his voice or the song or the instrument, and he would once again lead them out of the safety and security of the pen into the wild places, but the places where there's pasture and water and life. If you stay in the pen, you starve to death because there's no food, no water. But if you never go to the pen, there's risk because you're in dangerous places. And this is what Jesus is describing. And he says here, like, "I am the shepherd that leads my sheep out and brings them back safely. I take them out where there's pasture and water and life. I lead them back in, and I am their shepherd. They know my voice." It's interesting when you think about sheep. I don't know if you saw this a couple of months ago on the news. There was a story of this one sheep that got lost and kind of got lost in the wilderness, and years later they discovered this sheep. Did you see this on the news? And it was like a miracle, because sheep don't survive in the wild. Right? It was all kind of woolly and rough, and they were all like, "Wow, we can't believe the sheep survived." Like, pigs go wild, they're fine. If the pig keeper, they escape, they do fine. Horses, they run free, they're fine. Most domestic animals are fine if they kind of get out. They survive in the wild, they prosper even. But sheep don't. Sheep are hopeless. Sheep are helpless. They are far too docile. They get stuck in bushes, they can't get out, they fall down a crack, they can't get out. They have no awareness of predators. So sheep in the wild don't survive. You never hear of wild sheep. And what Jesus here is saying is that I'm the shepherd of the sheep. And that means it's my job to take care of them completely. Without me, they can't survive. They need me to protect them, to nurture them, to heal them when they're injured, to protect them from enemies, to lead them to safety, to feed them with pasture. Like, I need to be their everything. I'm everything to them. Without me, they die. But with me, they have life and life to the full. And this is the metaphor that Jesus uses. And it's the same for us. Jesus needs to be our protector, our provider, our physician, our leader, our guide, our owner, our everything. And the plea in this passage here is Jesus saying, "I am the good shepherd. Let me shepherd you. Let me be your shepherd. Let me be everything to you." As a man with man flu needs someone to look after them, as wild sheep need a shepherd, so we desperately need someone to look after us completely. All of us are looking for a shepherd. Someone who can tend to our every need, who can use language like complete us, look after us. So maybe you're looking to, like your parents, to do that for you, to be everything for you. Well, as good as they are, as you grow up, you'll realize that they need a shepherd too. And they can't be everything to you. Or maybe you're looking for that special someone, that romantic partner, that husband or that wife, And you think, oh, if I just find this person, they'll look after me completely. They'll meet my every need, and I will finally have someone whose job it is to look after me. And then you realize, as great as they are, they actually can't do everything for you. They can't be everything to you. Or as you get older, maybe you look to your children to look after you completely as you reach your more frail time in your life. But Jesus says, I'm the only shepherd. I'm the only true shepherd. You can't do it on your own. You can't self-shepherd. It doesn't work. No one else can truly be that shepherd for you. Only Jesus is the true shepherd. In fact, Jesus makes a big point of this, and his point is that he's the only legitimate shepherd. Very truly, I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate but climbs in some other way is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he's brought out all of his own, he goes on ahead of them, and they follow him because they know his voice. They will never follow a stranger. In fact, they'll run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. What Jesus is saying, this is the lean-in moment here, folks. Any other person, any other idea, any other group, any other system, any other project, anything else that promises to look after you completely is a thief and a robber. They can't do it. If a person says to you, I will meet your every need, they can't. They can't do it. They're robbing you of something better, maybe unintentionally, maybe with goodwill. Any other idea, any other group, any other system, any other place to belong, any other thing to latch onto in life that promises to look after you completely can't. It's a thief and a robber. Jesus is the only legitimate shepherd. This is why he's talking to the Pharisees. He's saying, you guys, you think keeping all the rules will save you? You think if you just be a good enough person, you'll have life and life to the full? You don't get it. You need someone to look after you completely. You're not able to look after yourself completely. You can't be everything to you. Any other person that claims to look after you completely is a thief and a robber. Jesus is the only legitimate shepherd. He longs to shepherd you. So will you let him? Will you let him be your shepherd? Then halfway through, the metaphor changes. And Jesus says, I'm the shepherd, and now he says, I'm the gate. And like think through what he's saying here. He's saying they will come in and go out and find pasture. He says in verse 10, the culmination of this section, a thief comes only to kill, steal, and destroy, but I have come that they may have life and life to the full. So what is this life and life to the full? In John 17, it's described as knowing God. This is eternal life, that they know you, the one true God, and Jesus Christ whom you have sent. By the way, knowledge in the Bible doesn't mean information about, it means experience of. So to know God is to have an experience of God, a living relationship with him. And Jesus says, I've come that they may have life and life to the full. They come in and go out through the gate and find pasture. Like, think through with me what Jesus is saying here. They come into the safety of the pen. So the pen is all about security. It's about protection. It's about safety. And Jesus is saying there is no safe place other than through me. There is no protection. We've learned that this year, haven't we? You know, global economies crash, unemployment skyrockets, worldwide pandemic, and we realize, we're not as safe as we thought we were. There's actually no safe place apart from Jesus. He is the only place of security, the only place of protection, the only place where you will be okay, where you are safe from all harm. Jesus is the pen, the safe place, the walled enclosure. Old Testament uses descriptions like, he's our refuge, he's our fortress, he's our stronghold. Jesus is the only safe place. But then he says, I'm the gate into safety, but I'm also the gate out into life, out into the wild places. You see, if sheep stay in the pen, they die. Not enough food, not enough water. You starve to death. So you have to go out into the wild and dangerous places, but the place where there's life, the place where there's pasture and water and adventure. Like, think through what Jesus is saying here, because I reckon heaps of us, what we do, we fall into the trap of thinking, what I'll do is I'll go to Jesus for my safety, my security. I'll put my trust in him, and then I'll be safe and no one will be able to harm me. Tick. But I also want to have a good life. So what does it mean for me to have a good life? How can I have a good life? I know I'll get a great job. A job where I'll make a difference. A job where I have satisfaction. A job where I love going to work, where what I do really matters. Then I'll have the life I've always dreamed of, life to the full. A great job. I'll get a great house. I'll find that special someone, have a great relationship. I'll find a great circle of friends, a great group to belong to, where every day is like a Coca-Cola ad, you know. I'll do that. I'll be healthy. I'll go to the gym. I'll get that bod I've always dreamed of. And we look to all of these things to give us life and life to the full. Jesus saves me from my sin, but in order to have the life I've always dreamed of, all these other things give it to me. Prestige, power, relationships, acclaim, wealth, success, freedom, great holiday, like whatever it is, we look to all these other things as the source of our life. If I could just travel, if I could just have an adventure, if I could just have pleasure, if I could just have the acclaim of my peers or prestige in my field, or if I could just have a really easy life, then I'd be happy. And Jesus is saying, I am the only way for you to have life to the full. I'm the only way for you to come in and have security, and I'm the only way for you to go out and have life. There is no life apart from me. All those things you think will make you happy, according to Jesus, they're a thief and a robber. They rob you from the life that you could have in Christ if he was the one you looked to. I reckon that is a massive, massive issue in Western Christianity. Jesus saved us from our sin, but health, wealth, and prosperity gives us the life we've always dreamed of. It's a lie. It's an absolute lie. It can't fulfill you. It can't fulfill you. And here today, I just want to put that on the table and say, if you want someone to look after you completely, only Jesus can do that. He's the only shepherd. He's the only good shepherd. And he longs to do it. You haven't got to care for yourself. Go to him. Let him care for you. Pour it all out. Run into his arms. Listen to his voice. Go into his presence. Let him lead you. Let him guide you. Let him shepherd you. And he's a good shepherd, but he's also the way to have life to the full. And if you are looking to something else or someone else to make you safe or to give you life and adventure and fulfillment, it's a thief and a robber. You are missing out on so much more of what God wants to do in your life. I want to finish today just by reading out Psalm 23. It's a beautiful picture of life as it should be, walking with Jesus. And I love the Message translation of Psalm 23. It says, God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find me quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Even when the way goes through Death Valley, I'm not afraid. When you walk at my side, your trusty shepherd's crook makes me feel secure. You serve me a 6-course dinner right in front of my enemies. You revive my drooping head. My cup brims with blessing. Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life until I'm back home in the house of my God for the rest of my life. He wants to be everything to you. He wants to shepherd you. He wants to lead you into greater and greater life. My prayer for you today is that would be the thing. And even as a church, as you think about a brand new building, that's a great blessing. But it's nothing compared to the presence of the Holy Spirit and the power of the gospel and the word. Am I right? Don't get caught into the trap of thinking, now we've arrived, now we're going to be blessed. It's a great thing. I've been praying with you and walking with you for years for that journey. But it's not the thing that's going to give you life. It's through Jesus and him alone. Amen? Amen. Let me pray just as the team comes back up. Yeah. Jesus, we thank you. We thank you that you don't leave us wandering around, getting lost, getting into trouble. Lord, and neither do you leave us wondering, just thinking, how does this thing work? And where do I find security? And where do I find life? How do I know I'm going to be okay? Who's going to look after me? But Lord, you come and you make it clear. You say, I am the good shepherd. I will look after you. I will tend to you. I will meet your every need. Just as I'm praying now, I'm sure there's one need that you've got that's at the front of your mind where you think, oh Lord, I just desperately need this. I need peace. I need energy to keep going. I need your power to forgive someone who's wronged me. I need your provision, Lord. I'm out of work and I desperately need a job, but I'm looking to you. I'm sick and I need your healing touch. My relationship with one key person is strained and broken, and I just desperately need you to come and breathe life and freedom and forgiveness and joy and health and wholeness into that. What is that thing for you now as we just sit before God? That he's saying, that's my need. Lord, that this is my need. I'm looking to you to meet it for me, to be my everything. But Lord, not only do you tend to us, Lord, but you lead us out into the places where there's life. You long for us to have a greater experience of you, greater joy, greater freedom, greater peace, a greater sense of adventure as we're obedient and step out in faith, following your voice. And Lord, for those of us here today who have been sucked into the lie that all these other things will make us happy, wealth and power and prestige, friendship, relationship, and ease of life, great new house, great new job. Lord, those things are good things, but they're not the thing. And Lord, for those of us who have kind of bought that lie, we just want to say sorry. We want to repent from that. We want to acknowledge the frailty that we have, Lord, and the futility of trying to make those things the thing that's going to satisfy us. We know that's not true. We look to you, Jesus. Thank you that you are the good shepherd. We long to experience you more. Amen. Amen.